Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg, and you're listening to Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well on KABC 790 AM, where we talk about all things aging well. Well, I'm devoting the month of July to learning about the elements and our relationship to them: water, air, fire, but in our case, we're going to say sunshine, and the earth. And first up today, we have Gina Bria. Gina has been researching ritual foods, nutrition, and hydration strategies for 25 years. She's a graduate of Columbia University's anthropology department and named a real world scholar. She's a founding member of the Worldwide Water and Health Association and founder of the Hydration Foundation. Her work has appeared in the New York Times, Grand Central Station, Harvard University, and Wissenschafts College in Berlin. An innovator and inspiring speaker, she has changed the conversation on water and developed solution-focused projects and products to advance hydration and water use. Welcome, Gina.
Oh, I cannot wait, Patricia, to talk about water.
So Gina, this just as a little aside, my husband was a commissioner on the Metropolitan Water District for the Southern California. So I learned a lot about water distribution throughout the United States, and we can touch on that a little bit later. So happy to have you here. Now tell us, how did you become an expert in hydration?
Well, I trained as an anthropologist, and this exploration started for me because I was looking at this simple question of how desert people hydrate without liquid, without 8 glasses of water a day. Everybody knows we have to have 8 glasses a day. I mean, this is standard medicine, right? So as I began to look at different groups in different deserts around the globe, each different group had a different strategy for hydration, but they all had one thing in common, which was shocking to me. They were hydrating using plants, not liquid.
Wow.
And I could not believe that this wasn't like a major conversation we were having about, and not only that, but they were better hydrated than we are. So I began this whole investigation. How is it that hydration got separated from food, which I think is a really important divergence that happened. And we've got to get ourselves back to very different approaches and strategies to hydration. Number one, we don't have the amount of water to spare that we're using, guzzling all that water. Number two, why are we carrying water bottles around everywhere we go? 3, what are we doing about the compromised liquid water that we've treated and pressurized and created all sorts of breakdown in that water? And then where can we rebring food into the conversation?
It's extraordinary because plant-based diets are now just the in thing. And I always laugh, old is always new, right? That's
Sure
something
is.
that we knew from ancient cultures, all seem to come to play and come to the forefront again. So Gina, we talk a lot about aging, and one of the dangers as we get older is it's more easy to become dehydrated.
Oh, Patricia,
And
I can't wait to, please let me tell you this story. I'm dying to tell you this story about my mother. Okay.
so this is why I'm here. How do we stay hydrated throughout our life cycle? That's really what I want to know, besides the 8 glasses of water a day.
Right. Right. So here I am. You can imagine me doing this research on different desert communities, and I'm finding out all the different foods they're using, like aloe and aloe juice, cactus, meats, tubers. There's a tremendous amount of water hidden under the ground in roots and root systems, mushrooms. I mean, you just name it. And while I'm doing this research and writing all this up, I'm getting phone calls from my mother's nursing home telling me how sorry they were. They had to hospitalize her again for another dehydration incident. I'm tearing my hair out.
Yeah.
This can't be happening to me, right?
Yes.
This can't be happening to me. And I knew the strategies in the home, of course, for hydration, because I cared about this issue a long time. And my mom would sit in her air-conditioned room or her highly heated room, and not very immobile in her wheelchair or in her bed. Hardly any sunshine, right? I mean, these are captive environments in which we can actually say now that they replicate the deserts in terms of their impact on our body's hydration. That's huge. So I'm here trying to think, how am I going to help my mother?
Right.
With this new information that I got. And I decided, out of all the research that I had done, there was one food in particular I knew could be like an immediate and very gentle help to my mother. So I sent my mother chia seeds. Chia seeds, CHIA, chia seeds. They're much more popular now than they were then. But because I knew this is, one, a desert seed, two, it's set up to hydrate without the benefit of a lot of liquid, because that's the smart ecological adaptation that these desert plants make. And three, I knew it was sort of a tasteless food that we could mix in my mother's morning orange juice that she wouldn't necessarily notice or object to. And yet I knew it was going to get her hydration 2/3 higher than without that chia seed.
How was this discovered that chia seed is the superpower of hydration?
Well, I was looking at many desert foods, of course, but I really stayed with chia seed and followed the story all the way through, because a couple of things happened. One is, I had in my research read a book called Born to Run by Chris McDougall. Chris McDougall is a marathoner, long distance runner. He was very interested in how other cultures did sustained running, and he came across a tribe that I had known of before, but hadn't done the research on their hydration strategy. So it was really his book that linked me to, oh, here's another group that is using, another desert group, by the way. They run up and down these desert canyons. They use chia seeds for their 50-mile marathons. Literally 2 tablespoons of chia seeds will get them through a 50-mile marathon. And of course,
Unbelievable.
I'll say they will mix it with a little corned beer, and that probably helps. But the point being, okay, here's an extraordinary food doing the work of hydration in our bodies that we haven't really understood how it all works yet. And then I decided to send seeds to my colleague, Dr. Gerald Pollack at the University of Washington, to test in his labs to see if the gel that these particular seeds released was a more hydrating form of water, literally concentrated water, than the kind of stuff we're using in our bottles and from our faucets. And we indeed came back with a positive for that test. So after that, I became a chia advocate. And of course, my mom never had another dehydration incident. She made it to 98, age 98.
Amazing. Mazel
Now,
tov. That's
yes,
old.
it's incredible. And now we can switch the conversation to, or just help us think about how much your brain is made of water, how much your blood is made of water, how much your lymph is draining and uses water pressure to get toxins out of our system, all our knee joints, our eye sockets. You pick a system in our body that is not run on good hydration. Immunity. Let's have the immunity conversation.
All of it. So you emphasize that water requires movement to stay energized. So not only do we have to ingest the water,
yes,
we have to move. So
right.
Please explain that.
Well, I'm going to kind of package the whole thing.
Okay.
I really don't want to lose this extremely important point that foods carry better hydration and absorbability than drinking liquid water alone.
Okay.
So I want you to make sure that you're going to start thinking about your apple as your water bottle. This is really important. You get those melon salads. Leafy greens are 96 or above % water. All of it highly mineralized, ready for the body to absorb and be time released within our body, like a chia seed does. So start thinking differently about how you're going to get in that hydration. You don't want to just use liquid alone. You don't want to forsake liquid, but you want to start adding all these amazing fibers and foods and spongibility. Then, now that we've got the hydration in us, that we can actually, our tissues can actually, they can reabsorb that nutrients, electrolytes, it stays in our system, it time releases. The way it gets distributed in the body is through our mechanical motion. We are meant to move the water within us, to distribute it and to ship it into our tissues. And this part of the hydration question just wasn't coming up for people. You're told 8 glasses a day. You're not told after you get that in you, you have to move it through your fluid dynamic system. You are yourself. you know, a series of locks and canals. If you think of your joint system and your synovial, it's literally called the spinal canal for a reason. Your tissues are all made of this spongeable water form. So if we move, we're actually distributing that water to all our tissues. And that's really important because we live in an immobile society without that prescription for hydration.
So this is just another plug for, well, I've changed my terminology. I, by the way, ran 20 marathons and 110 half marathons. So I understand that. I understand. Unfortunately, I wish I talked to you in 1996 when I started. Yeah, because the movement is key. So I call it movement now. I don't even use the term exercise. I don't tell people to just move. Just make sure that your body's moving.
Patricia, I'm gonna tell you a simple move right now for your listeners. It's so straightforward. Simple movement moves a lot of water. Even just dropping your chin to your chest.
Okay.
When you drop your chin to your chest, you're activating your entire spinal canal, and all that fluid is getting now a beautiful flush, which then goes out to your entire nervous system, all your muscles that are crossing that barrier down your spinal canal. If we have to just rethink the story, just rethink how we're doing this.
Absolutely. Now, what about you know, you're drinking water, you're eating lots of plants. I have an apple every single day. Somewhere in the day, I always have an apple. I have a little bit of an edge. I have a degree in nutrition. Not everybody does, but and I try to have an apple and an orange every day minimum. And of course, my water. You know, there's so much to talk about, and the time just flies by. But I want to ask you: are there foods that are detrimental to your hydration?
Well, fried chicken.
Okay.
Well, pizza, but I want you to think about it differently. I want you to think about, don't eat not detrimental food. Think about it like, all right, I'm having a piece of pizza. I'm going to add a salad to that, or I am going to have that apple somewhere. You do this compensatory thinking, because what you're doing is really riding your hydration strategy. You're riding the waves of you as a liquid being. And if you take a hit, you want to find a way to, you know, get yourself back up and running again. This isn't that hard. It's just that we don't think of it that way.
It's exactly right. Is that instead of forsaking the things you love, is add things in that will help you. I've been saying that obviously for many, many years, but you know, we can't emphasize enough, even putting vegetables on the pizza or a side of fresh vegetables with your fried chicken. I mean, every little bit really does help.
And if you know how much they're made of water, and if you know water's function is to bring electricity into your body and help you run an electrical system conducted by water, then you start thinking differently about, oh geez, I need to add some electrical charge to my life because I can feel the fatigue coming on. So you're riding those possibilities. We're all going to get the hits during the day. You know, we're not going to achieve perfect hydration. What we're going to do is get ourselves to a better place.
Yeah, it's that continuous management. Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg. You're listening to Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well on KABC 790 AM, where we talk about all things aging well. We're here today with Gina Bria, the founder of the Hydration Foundation. We're talking water, how much, how often, and the best way to stay hydrated. Gina, this is just fascinating that we can get our hydration from food, from vegetables. I know we always say that plants are mostly water, but your description of how we're absorbing it is amazing. Now, how effective are we hydrating from our food, specifically fruits and vegetables? When I say how effectively, what considerations are there? In other words, how much, how to space it out during the day? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, because I would just like to give people a visual so they can walk through. An apple and the water contained in that apple is worth far more than a bottle of water. Because one, the water we're drinking out of our bottles and out of our taps is now a highly compromised water. And it's compromised. You might be getting pure water, but by virtue of the way it's all been treated, whether chemically or forced through pipes and delivered through our taps, all that was intended for good, to get us out of bacterial contamination and to make it convenient. We did not know until recently that kind of treating water that way it disorganizes the water molecules. And now they're chaotic. And they can't hydrate us as well as that apple, which is brought cohesiveness to the water within it and makes that electrical signal that we're shooting for to get out of hydration actually function at a much higher rate. You're going to get less water out of that apple, but it's going to be higher in terms of delivering what water is supposed to do. And plus you get the absorbability of all those fibers, which hold and retain and time release that water. So if you are going to get your water from your water bottle or from a tap, if I can just urge you to do a couple of quick tricks to it that will help. Water, if you can throw in a little salt, a good salt like sea salt or a nice rock salt, or even desert salts like Redmond salt from the desert region. There's a dried up old seabed. That salt is full of trace minerals. Those trace minerals bring charge into the water. That charge means you can drink almost 1 to 2/3 less liquid because you've just made it more efficient. So I don't want you to drink a naked glass of water ever again or in your bottle. Please, you know, throw a little salt in there, and I'm talking about a pinch. Don't make it salty, just till it gets silky. Or squeeze a lemon, or squeeze a lime, or cut up a celery stick, throw it in there. Apples, anything where you're letting a living essence touch that water and then start the conversation between the molecules and get that electrical charge going again.
That's amazing. So just popping a lemon wedge, a lime wedge, or a little pinch of salt activates the water to work better in your body.
It's a totally different thing. And we didn't know that. So it's great to pass that on.
So the other question I had for you on that is, how do we balance the amount of salt in our diet? Because salt also, in the absence or during hydration, it actually would try to retain as much water as possible and cause you to swell. How do we balance that out?
Yeah, so the amount of salts that I'm recommending, so of course, Patricia, I've had to be so careful about recommending this because there's all sorts of objections about low sodium diets, etc. What I would like to say is that a pinch of salt in your water glass, you'd have to have 10 glasses of water with salt in it to meet the medium, the lowest possible range of a low salt diet. So that's it's between 100 and 200 milligrams in a pinch, depending on, you know, how big your fingers are. So and you don't have to salt every glass. You're just salting 2 or 3 through the day if that's what you're doing. Or you're having teas. You know, teas are a plant material which also bring mineral charge into water. Tea is actually going to be more hydrating than a raw glass of water. So I know I'm going to have to go to bat for that, but I'm willing to do that. And the way I want to do it is just say, please go try that for yourself, you know.
How about coffee? Coffee's now, the jury has been out on coffee as long as I'm alive, and I'm 60. I mean, it's, you know, every day we hear a different story. It helps you prevent Parkinson's disease. It causes damage throughout your body. And I think what people need to differentiate is we're talking about the caffeine. And we're talking about the compounds in coffee beans. So talk to me about that a little. Yeah.
Also the acids in coffee.
And the acids, yes.
Right. So there is a great variability genetically and ethnically across our capacities. If you know you don't do well with caffeine, you already know that, I'm sure, in your life. You're not going to start using coffee to hydrate. But you will also notice that, you know, you could probably have 2 to 3 glasses of coffee a day, and it won't have the dehydrating effects that were the great big conversation around that. So it's going to be on your personal tolerance for coffee. One way I really love to add hydrating benefit to my coffee is I mix it with a little bit of MCI oil, or ghee, or butter. And this is mimicking very ancient traditions that were using the combination of liquid and fat to hydrate in high altitude cultures. So if you go to any of the places around the world, like Peru, or which has cocoa, which is a combination of fats and liquids for high hydration in high altitudes, or you go to somewhere like Nepal and they have, well, you probably won't get it here, but yak butter in their teas. They make whipped yak butter. All of these are strategies which are very old, which are very effective because these people had to find ways to make hydration work for them.
So Gina, my question about this is interesting. So we want to talk about preventing dehydration. So these are also things we should be doing before we engage in anything endurance or high altitude or setting out on our day. This should be something we're conscious of when we get up in the morning, is to increase and maximize our hydration before we go on with our day, so we don't find ourselves 3 o'clock in the afternoon so dehydrated, so depleted, and then trying to play catch up.
Right. So I think a couple strategies I can share that come out of my own life. One, I get up, I have my coffee. Don't get between me and my coffee in the morning. The way it goes. Then I don't keep hydrating with coffee, which is what people will often try to do. Then I'll get myself a nice glass of warm water in the amount that it's a pleasure to drink, not the amount that I've got to guzzle. It's like you just, take care of that extra hydration. Somewhere between 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to have a green smoothie. I'm going to add, blackberries and coconut milk and basil. I'm going to pick something from whatever's in my fridge, a parsley, melon salad. I'm going to be looking for, okay, what's my next oasis stop in my day? Where am I going to pick up some hydration and get myself to the next round of whatever that may be? And I'm just watching for those I call them oasis spots in the day.
Right. So for you listening out there, we can't reiterate enough is to try to be conscious of this throughout the day. Have an apple in the afternoon instead of a Danish. Have, what Gina's saying is if you're going to have some water, throw some lemon in, some lime. Gina, my big question, there is so much to talk about. I'm so afraid of running out of time here. Can you speak to the advent of all these mineral waters?
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah, all the bottled water. I'm drinking you can't see us because you're listening, but Gina and I are on Zoom and I grabbed this vitamin water on my way over because I was thirsty and I needed a bottle of water.
Right.
Tell me about what you think of these flavored waters, these mineral waters.
Right. So I just want to give your listeners an out. I actually carry around a little Ziploc bag or a little container of sea salt, and I get myself just plain water and I add that sea salt because I'm not paying $4 a bottle. And it's really the mineral. And so the minute minerals touch water, they turn into electrolytes and they start generating electricity. That's really what we're going for. So that's how easy it can be. I mean, if you want to explore all those other waters, fine, good on you for caring about hydration enough. But, let's take like the classic planet saving strategies.
Gina, if you're engaging in activity, which we all are to some degree, if you're sitting at a desk or running a race or playing tennis, whatever it might be. Also, I want to add the stress of living what we've all lived with the last couple of years through the pandemic and just the stressful life that it wears you out. Everything we do in the course of a day wears you out. So is it better to sip water throughout the day, to have that water bottle next to you and keep sipping? Or is it better to do it in larger amounts, less often?
I think each person is their own continent.
Okay.
They really do need to find out which one works for them. And this is a really important thing to know, that you are your own unique body of water inside of there. And we are, by molecular count, 99% water. We're way more water than anybody knew. So you are your own region. You're going to have to figure out which one of those and the way you're going to find out for yourself is you're going to look for, do I get fatigued by 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Do I have brain fog, or do I feel deprived when I go to bed at night? Am I sleeping poorly?
Right.
And do I have creaky joints?
Right.
Those are much better techniques for figuring out if you're dehydrated or not.
Yeah, so pay attention to your body, pay attention to what, how it's affecting you. And sometimes it's trial and error. You have to try
Mhm.
a few different things. This is such a fascinating topic. I'm going to have you back in the near future, Gina, so we can talk more. We have just about a minute and a half. Can you tell us quickly, what does the Hydration Foundation do? And we can send people there for more information. It's hydrationfoundation.org. But Gina, quickly tell us about what it is you do there.
Yes, Patricia, thank you for asking.
Uh-huh.
On that website, I have recipes, I have science, I have suggestions for what it looks like if you're a nursing mom versus someone who's in their 80s. I have, kind of assessment tests, but overall, it's just a site of encouragement for you to think about new ways to get hydrated and why that could be so valuable to you. So
Gina,
come
thank
join
you.
us
And
there.
really keep up the good work. I have a
Thank
quick
you.
question, which I ask all my guests. What do you like
Okay.
about getting older?
Oh my gosh. More joy.
Yeah.
More
Mhm.
experience has led to more joy. Like
Yes,
I can't believe all this wonderful stuff is happening still.
good, good. I'm
Yeah.
so happy for you too. Thank
Mhm.
you again, Gina. So nice to see you.
What a
And
pleasure.
thank you all for listening to Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well on KABC 790 AM. Please tune in again for our engaging discussions on all things aging well. For feedback or show topic discussions, please email me at my website, which is www.eatwelllivewellagewell.com.